Hey, this is Debbie with Cultural Alignment Solutions, and I want to welcome you to the Expansion Factor. I am super excited to have Whitney with us today. She is going to tell you all about herself. She is a consultant and coaching. You do both, don't you, Whitney? Yes.
Mhm.
Super excited to find out about her practice, what she offers. But on today's podcast, we are going to talk about how Whitney has expanded what in every area from life, leadership, and love. It's what we do here on the Expansion Factor. So, Whitney, as we get started, if you could pick one word, we ask this of everybody. If you could pick one word that would describe your journey of expansion, what might that word be?
I would say it's intentional. I love that word. It means so much to me, especially when it comes to relationships. That would be my second word, intentional relationships.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. It's an important thing to keep in mind. And intentional means something different to everyone. For me, that's what it really centers around is what kind of relationships am I forming? The one with
Mm,
myself, the one with others. And so that's the one I always default back to.
yes. So, when you think of intention, what does a life look like if they don't have intention?
I think at different stages of life, I love an author. His name is Richard Rohr, and he wrote a book called Falling Upward. And we're always in different containers of our life. And when we have enough growth to be able to reflect on our different containers of life, we start to begin to realize that those different containers give us lessons. And if we are wanting to expand or wanting to grow, that's what I think of when you say expansion is growth. We try to glean as much as we can from them. So I always think of it like knowledge is like reading a book. Wisdom is trying to apply what you read in really good timing,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
applied knowledge. And then understanding is being able to go through an experience, like writing your own book. And I feel like I'm in that container. So in this season of my life, I think intentional means trying to glean from the lessons that I've learned. And if somebody was to hear this word, I wouldn't say, if you're in those earlier containers, you have to be intentional with everything. Sometimes it just means showing up ready to life. That was my word in my original container early on when you're trying to prove yourself. But
Yeah.
transitions require intention. And a lot of us, especially when we're trying to grow, we don't know what that means. So it's about having a really good relationship with yourself first and having your own back. And I don't mean like in a vindictive way or a hateful way, but I mean more of a what is the most generous and compassionately curious thing that I can do here? Instead of what do I want? What could I do here? And I think it kind of takes the pressure off and it allows
Mhm.
you to show up a little bit more fully instead of from a perfectionistic standpoint or
Yep.
a massive hustler perspective,
Mhm.
which is really the world we live in is hustle culture or, woman of power.
Mhm.
But just showing up a little bit more authentically.
Yes, that's powerful.
Yeah.
So, Whitney, it brings me to the curiosity point of what is it that you actually do? So, share with us who you are. What is
Sure.
Whitney S. Consulting? Yeah, tell us all about that.
Yeah, I like to say that I'm there from that hire to retire.
Okay.
I'm not an in and out person with my clients. I do coaching consulting, so that's like a hybrid. Because even in the hiring process, when I'm consulting on my clients, I do a bit of coaching as well because I want to make sure that whoever is getting hired into a job isn't just a warm body. So I'm thinking
Mhm.
about the person that they're looking at, but I'm also thinking about my client and understanding um, like where would they fit. So years ago when I was in Conway, I got to meet a organizational psychologist and she gave this speech about working with NASA. And it was so cool because she was looking at the space station to be built around a person who was left-handed. And I was left-handed. I was like, this is so cool.
Oh,
She said,
wow. Yeah.
we want to make sure that people thrive in their environment instead of forcing them into it. And we can't like completely flip every organization or every single role, but what I can is support the manager. And one of the things that I like to ask is the person that was in that previous role, tell me about the pains, tell me your fears, because I want to be able to turn them into questions. Sometimes managers or leaders get to a place where they weren't supported, so they suppress those fears or they think they have to have everything figured out. And I'm very much a let's talk it out. Let's walk through this so we don't end up dropping bombs on really good candidates when they come
Mhm.
in because of past traumas, right?
Yep. Yep.
Terrible. That's
That's
so
good.
awful. But
Yeah.
it's also not great for them because they have the chance to really create a good established relationship. There's that word again, and being intentional about how they want to make sure that person thrives. And I've been fortunate enough to work with clients who lean into that. So I use an assessment tool called the Trimetrics. I'm certified through Target Training International, TTI. Shout out. I love them.
Yay.
They are really researched and backed. So I don't do personality assessments. I do behaviors, driving forces, and it's called the Hartman dimension. So it tells me their skill sets. So
Okay.
we look at that, and then I usually work with the leader in getting them onboarded. And then later on, leadership coaching or team development. So, like I say, hire to retire.
Yay. That's absolutely awesome. So share with me a little bit that what stirred this up inside of you to do this, to want to do this route of a career.
Whoa. I was originally a music major and got accepted to a music academy. But life and plot twists led me back to Northeast Arkansas, and I ended up taking a class called Abnormal Psychology at Arkansas State University, and was really good at it. Because
Yep.
pattern recognition, recognizing certain things like that from that musical background. Um, and I feel like this path actually chose me because I probably would have stayed in the world of the arts or something creative. But sometimes we kind of get these little pivots and shifts. So I always say like I'm an artist in a business world. So thinking outside the box and finding new ways for people to be able to learn and to understand like different methods. So I dabbled in psychology is like a black hole. That was my degree that I got. So you can do literally anything with a bachelor's in psychology. But I needed a focus. So I started looking in leadership because it kind of came naturally for me. I like people. I want to make sure that people succeed. I'm not a dictatorial leader. I'm a relationship leader. So, but I couldn't really grow where I was at. So I ended up getting an internship with a man in Northeast Arkansas, and the internship turned into a job, which introduced me to TTI. So that was a blessing. And then also seeing that professor and consultant who had come to Conway and talked about industrial organizational psychology. So during that time, there was this thing called PSYOP, which is this is the nerdy part, the Society of Industrial Organizational Psychology. And I was watching all these people graduating with their degrees, but they couldn't get jobs. So that's why I took the internship and tried to get experience. And then I ended up getting a different master's. I'm still in that same field. I still
Yeah.
enjoy the science of like people in the workplace. And I jokingly say I try to bring humanity back to the workplace. It's where we spend the majority of the hours of our day, right? And our week. So you
Yeah.
might as well try to find a way that it can be reciprocally nurturing, where you can have meaningful relationships that are not labeled family, because
Right.
it's not your family. You can have friends there, but intentional relationships are incredible to your career.
Yeah. That's
They have the most
powerful.
impact.
So who was a specific person for you, event or person who inspired you in your shift in your perspective of life?
I think it was just a kind of a cascading of things. Like,
Hmm.
there's a couple of things that just didn't work out. I was in insurance, and then I worked with children with disabilities. And I knew that I loved working with people. I didn't want to sell insurance. And it was this moment where I had the opportunity to be an entrepreneur, and it scared the fire out of me. And I like a good challenge. So
Yeah.
I think it was just a cascading of events where certain jobs were closing out. This opportunity presented itself, and I was in that first container. So I was like, well, I'm ready. Let's do this. So
Yeah.
I just jumped.
Yep. That's what you do. You just
Yeah,
jump.
you just
Yes.
jumped.
People
It just
ask, how did you ever find your career? I'm like, if I knew what I knew now, I probably wouldn't have jumped. And that's why we don't know.
it's challenging. It
It
is.
is.
It is.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I would. So, is there any specific like actions, habits, or practices that have been the most influential in driving like your own personal expansion?
Yeah, I think in my personal leadership world, I read a book called Try Softer by Andi Kohler, and she described this thing that I had been doing for a long time, but she gave it a little bit more perspective or dimension. It's called beauty hunting. And in the like religious world or the Christian or the Judeo-Christian religious world, they call it visio divina, or divine viewing. And it like traces back. So it doesn't matter which culture or what paradigm you're looking at, it kind of has the same perspective. And it's going on walks in nature or sitting and viewing something from a different perspective, like engaging your mind and not just like consuming.
Mhm.
So if I'm going on a walk, during 2020, it was absolutely one of the things that probably saved my heart and my mind from not like feeling so isolated and insular during that period. And I still do it to this day. And I call it beauty hunting is it's because you're going on walks and you're really just taking in and you're assessing the life around you. And my friends are like, you see everything. Like when we go on walks, like there's these red birds. They follow you when you go on walks. We have deer, and I know how many deer we have. I always go looking for the owl because it's the most elusive. And it's not because I'm a bird person. It was because I began this practice and I
Mhm.
started falling in love with where I was at. I felt really connected to the environment that I was in, the nature I was in. And for
Mhm.
whatever reason, and we have tons of research around it now, going on that walk and just being immersed in nature kind of recalibrated my nervous system
Yeah.
and my ability to just sort of bounce back from stressors. Because 2020 was like, I have incredible and loyal clients, but everything went like to a
Yes.
screeching halt. And I was like, oh. And so I was like, I got to gamify these things, you know, like
Yeah.
gamify like my expenses, how, I got to pivot in my business. How do I want to do this? And but all of that, even though you can be really creative in doing those things, there's stress. And I was wanting to try to master stress. So it became this like ritual for me to go at golden hour and beauty hunt because I love sunsets. It's beautiful
Mhm.
here. We have artists that come here. They even move to Eureka, painters that will paint the sky because it's so absolutely beautiful. So it just kind of grounds me. So beauty hunting is one of my favorite rhythms or rituals that I still incorporate to this day.
Yes. I am right with you with that.
Really?
Right with you. Yes. I'm just like, I get out in the universe and just go, ah, you are just
Yeah.
so awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
was
just
like that
beautiful.
even as a kid. I used to go outside and lay and look at the night sky just because it was so calming. I mean, they were like,
Yeah.
"Aren't you scared?" And I was like, "No, it's something about the dark. It just felt calm." What place do you
Yes.
go to? What do you like?
It depends. All hours of the day give you a different perspective, right? I get the joy of right here on our property at night. We lay down, and it's this time of year, the fireflies literally fall from top down. And I mean, you just
Yeah,
lay there and go, it's priceless. Oh, I get chills thinking
I
it
know.
is priceless. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I
That's true
love we
beauty
keep our
hunting.
property dark. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I love it. And I sit outside all the time. So that's why we're on 7 acres. Left the city and came up here.
That's
So
beautiful.
all
Love
good. How does that play? Okay, so you do this and you've really learned how to tap in, right? To reset that vagus nerve, your nervous system. Everything gets reset in your entire life. What difference do you feel that makes for your clients?
You know, most of my coaching has come from either my research or my lived experiences because I know
Yeah,
that people get, sorry, my coffee is repeating on me.
you're finally, you're fine.
Um, mid podcast. No, I like to tell. I get feedback often. Oh, consultants, they don't really have experience. They don't know what they're doing. And if I don't have that experience, I usually try to match my clients with relationships that can, like, give them a
Mhm.
mentor or give them a peer coach that they can work with that can sharpen them. So I try not to be all things to all people, but
Mhm.
And you shouldn't be. Like you should try to be a resource to them to like expand their,
Mhm.
I call it the advisory board,
Yeah.
because that's been super crucial for me is to have I'm a solo entrepreneur. And while I work with different companies to help expand my business, it's really important to cultivate relationships for myself. So my practice has been in my personal leadership, not only just beauty hunting, but building those relationships, being intentional, not just with my personal like
Yeah.
body and relationship, but also with my community and with how I approach my business. Because it can be very easy to not be accountable to anyone. Like,
Mhm.
and you can be an accidental jerk in your work. So
Yes. Yes.
I want to avoid that. And the only way I can do that is have those proper mirrors in place. So
Yeah.
having mentors, having a counselor, having a peer coach, having people in community, like good friendships, being invested in my community and doing things and understanding what's going on. I'm a part of the board for women in leadership um, at my chamber here locally. And it's just been so fascinating to see all these different women. It's so impressive to watch them do what they do. So it keeps me plugged in. And when I do that, then I can speak from a place of experience and say, hey, this can be a powerful shift for you. And I know what it's like to move my body in fear. So I
Mhm.
want to move my body in love. And while that may sound cheesy to some people, it's really liberating. So, what is the most compassionately curious thing I could do here? And that is to lean into relationship that I may have never tried before, or try to work on a skill that was never presented to me before, without all the shame gremlins coming forward and "Well, I should have done it by now." I mean, I've coached people that were in their 60s. And they've been gracious enough to receive me. They could be
Mhm.
extraordinarily like, "What is this young chick coming in here telling me?"
Yeah.
When you remain compassionately curious for whatever reason, people they open up as well. And when you remove the shame from the table and you say, let's just be curious for a second. Like, if you could imagine a great mentor, who would you want to reach out to? If you could imagine XYZ. And so we'll take like I call it dialogue coaching. We'll take a few minutes to dialogue coach, and then we'll dive into some practical goals. As I am the type of person who likes to reverse engineer, let's cast the vision and then let's just, in the next 30
Mhm.
days, in the next 60 days, in the next 90 days, I call it the Whitney 3 because it's my
Mhm.
W, my tongues.
That's good.
Everybody remembers things in threes, right? In
Yep.
the next 30 days, what can I do to move myself towards that? I just want to reach out to a peer coach, or I need to work on my relationship, or my advisory board. I give them a chart that they can like flow through, so
Mhm.
that they're not just thinking from nowhere. They have these little relationship circles they can think about. So that's why I'm always like intentionality and relationships are important because most of the people I work with, as you probably do as well, are smart. They're
Mhm.
skilled, they're scrappy. I'm
Yeah.
scrappy. I don't need to teach them how to do that. I need to remind them of their own humanity again.
Mhm.
And remind them to like come back to that original place where you could imagine and think and why you were originally hired. So we want that to flourish, and we have to do it intentionally.
Yep. Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
what is one key lesson, right, from your expansion journey that you hope others take away from when they experience you? Let's just say that.
I think it would always go back to just practicing that compassionate curiosity. So I call it hugging your heart.
Mhm.
I see a lot of anxious individuals that are like extraordinarily successful, or people who are highly ambitious but can sometimes get in the way of themselves. Like it's like a
Mhm.
cognitive dissonance. I want to do that thing, but then either they self-sabotage or
Yeah.
something happens. So just slowing down, because I always say like the right side of your body is your wisdom, the left side of your body is like your compassion and your love. So think about that being like your lungs. Your right side is wisdom, your left side is compassion. Hug your heart before you make that decision. Like take a deep breath. Because throughout the day, we only fill up a small part of our lungs when we're breathing. It's shallow breathing, and we carry all of our daily stress in our shoulders. So we tighten, 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 tighten. And then we're
Mhm.
sitting for long periods of time. So when we have real emotional things hit, we carry it in our hips. So I told him, like, get up, move around, and just hug your heart. You try to like make it visual and simple, but there's a whole science behind it.
Yes.
I taught yoga for 12 years and like on the side just because I love that world as well. But walking moves the stress out of the body. It also recalibrates when you're looking left to right when you're going on walks. It resets the brain. That's why it helps with your vagus nerve. Nobody wants to know all of that though, right?
No.
Make
They're
it
just like,
simple and
fix it.
practical, right? Let's just get to it. Hug your heart and just remain compassionately curious. And instead of would, switch it to could. What could I do here? Or what
Yes.
should I do here? Forget the shoulds. And I had a friend, she was
Don't
like,
shit on yourself. Is that
oh
what I say?
my gosh, I almost created a t-shirt that said that. You were reading
I
my
say
mind.
that all the time. Don't shit on yourself. Are you shitting on
Stop shitting all over yourself.
yourself?
What could I do? Right? What could I do here? Instead of should. Yeah, there's too much shame with it.
So much shame. And yeah, it's like you should. You should.
No,
So
no, what could I do here? Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So is there a particular project or vision that you're working on right now that you're excited? You
I
want to
am.
share? Yeah. Tell
Yes.
us about it.
It's called the Mentoring Bundle. So I created a learning platform and the one that we're launching, it's kind of a limited series. We haven't fully launched it yet. So if anybody who's listening to this, we'll probably be launching it towards the end of July, the 1st of August.
Okay.
There's a couple different courses, and there's one track that you can go where you do it yourself, and then there's another track where we have a community, and that's the one that I'll be leading. So you can sign up for the independent track, or you can sign up for the cohort track where I'll be participating and meeting with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it talks about these relationships. It gets you started in what they look like and how to build out that track. There's a track called Human Flourishing that we'll be offering as it's free for you to like walk through, so you can get some ideas around like beauty hunting and much more. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's a core to my business. So it's the first one that I'm launching. I've got
What
a
is
few.
someone looking for, Whitney, why would they choose
Honestly,
it? What are
yeah.
they looking
So if you're at the beginning of your career or if you're at the mid stage or you're trying to exit, it doesn't matter where you are. This one is specific to everyone. For the person who's at the early stages of their career and you're trying to figure out how do I navigate relationships well, because there's been this big flux around getting a sponsor, someone who will speak for you behind closed doors. But the track to like getting a sponsor, again, let's reverse engineer that. What does that look like? How do I develop a peer coach? How do I like sharpen myself and then also build consensus, not necessarily like a campaign, but like a rapport with my colleagues and with different departments. And peer coaching is 3 to 6 months, so you're working with somebody on your goals. Um, and it shows intentionality that you're willing to invest in relationships that are reciprocal. So you're peer coaching them, they're peer coaching you.
for?
Mentorships, allowing somebody to pour into you or you pouring into someone else, or being a part of those groups, those kinds of relationships. Actually, your peer coach might end up in a room one day where they need to speak about who you are. Well, how are they going to know? Some of these organizations I work with are huge. So, learning how to navigate those dynamics. Um, and having a framework to use that ends up keeping you safe and them safe and understanding what it's actually for. So whether you're in that first container trying to build that, you're in that mid tier, you're trying to transition to like go from lateral to an upward move, or you're exiting and you're looking back, and this is a part of that succession making process. It can be a great insight to you, even in transitioning. Because my master's degree was in global leadership, and one of my major questions, my thesis question was, how do leaders finish well? Because I'm sure you've been in this long enough, there have been some very tyrannical leaders who've
Yeah.
succeeded and done things. And it's like, it's mind boggling. And then the next set of leaders weren't actually taught anything better. And they're trying to sift through it. And they have their own fears and traumas. So, how do I get a leader to finish well? And it was through relationships. That's the consensus of that research over and over again: relationships, relationships, relationships. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I have one more activity I want to do with you, Whitney.
Okay.
I have these word cards, and I am just going to randomly draw a word, and whatever comes up, you get to talk about it. How does that
Oh
feel?
gosh. Okay.
This
Yeah,
I
let's do
call it the
it.
universal hug. It's going to give you something to talk about, okay?
Woo! Okay.
All right, I'm just randomly picking. So we're going to pull this one right here. Oh my goodness. You ready for
What?
this word?
Oh gosh.
Inspiration.
Okay. So I'm just supposed to talk about inspiration.
What does that word mean to you? What is it? How does it show up for you?
Well, it's funny that that's the word that's come up because my program is where my platform is called Lit Leader, and
So
LIT
cool.
is all capitalized, and the symbol for it is the phoenix. So transformation, and fire is such a transformative element, but it's also in this upside down diamond, which is symbol of water. So like a rebirth. And
Yes.
I love the Phoenix because it does inspire me because it reminds me that, we can begin again, right? We're all kind of like phoenixes every day. When we go to bed and we wake up the next morning, our body is so incredible. It produces all these things for us. It gives us these new brain cells, our skin, all the things that it is working for us at all times, even though we're taught to not really appreciate our bodies. We
Yes.
are actually living phoenixes. So being an inspiration to yourself in that way. But being a
Yeah.
lit leader is yeah, like walking in that light, like knowing your own light and stoking your own flame. So yeah, because I think we should be I think there was this leader, she was like, what are you ready to pass on your torch? She's like, I'm not passing my torch to anyone. She was like, light your own. Like, she goes, let it inspire you to light your own. And I'm
I
like,
love it. I
copy paste.
know. I love that. That is perfect. It's like, what
Yeah.
good is me? I know. Do
No,
your
you don't
own.
need my torch. Light your own. Yeah. Yeah. So that's
Beautiful.
what it means to be lit
It's
within.
beautiful. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I love this. There are so many things that you've said. I'm like, oh my God, we could just sit and talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate the work that you do. Yes, I've been doing this for 17 years. I never, ever, ever thought I would ever be doing what I'm doing. It's a crazy story
Mhm.
how I got into it. And I love watching clients transform right in front of your eyes. And the fact that you get to do that, it's just got to be so rewarding for yourself
It
too,
is.
right? To wake up
Yeah.
every day and do that and
Yeah.
be their mentor. So I actually
Mhm.
think that's really cool.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Whitney. And give me everything you want. And we'll put it in the links for people to be able to contact you, to be able to reach you, and to be able to connect and
Yeah.
plug into everything you have for them. All right.
Thank you so much.